up and dribble.
The champ is here.
I must be the greatest.
The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
MH.
Yes, he is the DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports. You're the voice of the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Today, man, we are bringing you inside the locker room when we talk about topics in and around the game. MH, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So it's been in the news, man. It's been buzzing around, and it's just kind of one of those things where you think decisions, right? So today, man, we want to bring Calvin Ridley inside the locker room, man. So get some people up on what's been going on, MH.
Yeah, on March 7th, the NFL announced that it suspended Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley indefinitely for betting on NFL games. During the 2021 season, he is suspended through at least the conclusion of the 2022 season. According to the NFL, Ridley placed bets during the 5-day period in late November 2021 when he was away from the club's facility on the non-football illness list. He was out because of mental well-being, and he played just 5 games in the 2021 season. So wherever this incident happened, it was during that time where he was out. Apparently, he placed some bets of $1,500 on NFL games. No real details about which games or, whether that is or, whatever that may be. I guess he wasn't directly playing in the game. So I guess the point shaving thing or wherever that throwing games probably is out of question or maybe still up for interpretation. But the gist of it is he's suspended for all of next season because he's betting on football. And that's a big no-no when it comes to the NFL and all professional sports. So that's it.
It's like number one rule, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you get to the Bible, like, it's like the number one rule as far as what you do in sports. Like, that's just kind of across the, I think everyone knows that. Like, and even if you don't know that, like, if I said that, you're like, oh shit, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the integrity of competition and, a lot of things are up for debate and question about how these leagues work. But, for the sake of integrity and those that are participating in the games, you would think that everything is on the up and up. And yeah, that's directly against the integrity of the game. So it's a big no-no.
I remember when I was working for the Raiders or just during the PSL project, ours took it as far as like, don't be in a casino. Like, don't give, not that you couldn't go in a casino, but it was just really hitting home.
Sports book. Yeah.
It was hitting home the fact, like, don't be near it. Don't be an eye shot. So there can't be any kind of confusion or like nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and there's layers to it. Not just you. I mean, your wife, how that goes, your mother,
all
your
of
dad,
that, right?
Like, yeah, there's layers to it.
No connection, dotted line,
Right.
Carrier pigeon, like nothing.
Right. Right.
So no, that is definitely like rule number one. So then you go into, I guess there's really kind of I don't want to say semantics, but just different layers. We'll go into like layers of it, right? So, the first thing was it a dumbass move, right? Like, do we put like common sense to question in here? Because one of his comments that he's made was that he doesn't have a gambling problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I guess even starting beginning, he was out because of mental health last year. Yeah. That's what he stated. Like his last, I think, post on his social media was the letter that he sent to the organization, football, his teammates and the fans and saying, hey, sorry, I need to do this so he could be better. Right. So that was the last time we saw or his public, sentiment to people, at least on, I think it was his Instagram or whatever. And then now you come to this. So you're like, okay, you bet that.
Yeah, I can see why you a little stressed, bro. I shouldn't say that.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, I'm like 1981 when it comes to like, the topic of mental health. It's just kind of vague as a
Correct
topic and a subject and a way to describe it. I don't know what Calvin Ridley's going through. I'm praying for him, man, and I wouldn't call him a dummy per se. I'll just say that this probably wasn't the best choice. I think I heard Shannon.
So what was it? 1,500 and what was his contract? Was he going to lose this year?
Like 11 million this year or something. Yeah, that's not even the good mathematics.
Right, the math is all bad on that, and it's like not calling him a dummy in the sense of attack, but in the sense of Sanford and Son, you big dummy.
Yeah,
definitely.
What wasn't the move that I don't know is the right way to go, and I don't know. I think you can easily what's the phrase? The devil plays on an idle mind or whatever the case may be. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't idle.
Devil's playground, right?
Yeah, so there we go.
But he wasn't supposed to be idle though. Like he was supposed to be working on his mental health, right? So whatever he was working on, and this was the outcome, was not the move. So I do want to jump into this, right? So and you could, if I'm way off base, we could just jump to the next thing. I just do believe that there is a betting culture in sports.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. And it's not like we haven't seen this before. Well, first of all, we live here in Las Vegas. So I'm sure like we've been out to dinner or, going around and we've seen them at certain hotels playing, right? Betting, not betting, excuse me, but like, game of chance.
You like the
ice, blackjack, poker.
You've been playing crap since sophomore year in high school, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the culture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's locker room stuff too, culture too, right? So that's that whole thing. And then as far as the betting, we've seen this. I mean, hell, we've even seen it on your boy MJ, the GOAT.
Facts.
He was flipping quarters with the security guy.
Facts. I think it's just a competitive nature, man. I think betting and gambling kind of hits that, I guess, that whatever that gene is or whatever that is of competitive edge for a lot of different the game. I guess the chance of it can probably hit into a competitor's competitive edge pretty quickly. And this, and to your point, like betting in sports or whatever that is, that's not nothing new. I remember hearing about the Chicago White Sox way back in the 1900s or whatever that whole scandal was about them kind of throwing games. And then I didn't even know who Pete Rose was outside of his betting on baseball and not being able to get in the Hall of Fame until
him being in that jail in the Mandalay Mall where anytime you walk by, he's in that trading card place in the corner signing autographs.
So again, like I guess that's always kind of been a thing with sports, but to our point earlier, I mean, you kind of mess directly with the integrity of sport if you're betting on it. It's probably not a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So, and like you said, a lot of them do it. We know the bigger names that do it, but like on just a large scale. And I think you hit a point where it's definitely on that competitive aspect to it, right? Like, bet money. Someone challenged bet money. Like what? Like what do you got on that? So that's all into a culture thing as well, right?
It definitely is. I mean, I can say it now. I mean, I survived. I bet a lot of swipes, lunch swipes, during my days in college on just playing Madden or who you could beat in the race as far as you was a little kid. Like that's kind of been the culture for a long time.
Flip dollars, like flip, like if it lands on the both sides, all of that, man. Like that's. I
mean, shoot, I come up on $100 now. I still, haven't wanted to put it on black. At least
see what happens. Always bet on black, baby.
Yeah, I always bet on black. So I don't know. It's part of the culture, like you said.
Yeah. So then you start getting, taking it from, and I think we're attempting to build, right? So we kind of told you what the facts were, what's been, brought out, what's been done so far. And then we talked just about kind of the culture, but now it's kind of, let's get into like the public perception. And there's been a lot of people that have opinions on it. And like, now, we are in the opinion day and age where everybody has a voice, good or bad. But there's been a lot of cap, a lot of flack, a lot of just kind of comments out there. And I think, since we are in Women's History Month, I think that has been the strongest. I don't know what you've kind of seen or read out there or kind of been hearing, but just when we're talking about just like the NFL and their stance on how they've handed out punishments.
Oh, like in relation to, I guess, like domestic violence and things like that.
Yeah. So it's domestic violence versus this, right? So there's been a couple bans, I think like back in the 60s, there was a couple guys that got like banned for the year. Like this duration has been, long standing, right? And you brought up like, Pete Rose, he's got a lifetime ban from baseball, right? Like, so anytime you're talking about betting, that's kind of been the standard, but then you have this where a Ray Rice or, the Zeke thing, I'm not gonna bring. I mean, a woman was involved, but like
a Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
A lot of Cowboys in there, by the way. Anyway.
Yeah, we won't touch on that. It's not a laughing subject, man. You making me laugh at.
We're not laughing at that, man. Come on, like, we're laughing at anyway.
We're laughing at the cow. Yeah.
So, how do you feel about that? You know what I mean? I know I kind of started leaning towards what my thoughts are, but how do you feel about that?
I think it's probably wrong for me to say like apples and oranges. I guess I just think it's different. I don't think it's a correlation. Again, I think I put it this way. I think sports and all professional sports are just reflect what society is. So I think there are issues with domestic violence just in society. And I don't think like the NFL has this culture of domestic violence. I just think that's what's in our society now. And that's just kind of just a reflection of society that echoes through the NFL. So I think that's his own issue. And I think bad people do bad things or those things.
Or situations happen.
Situations happen or whatever. I'm not going to touch on that. I think it's just different than it comes from the competitive integrity of the game. I just think those are two totally different things. And while $1,500 is probably less than somebody's life changing forever on both sides due to a domestic situation. I think one deals with the competition, the sheer competition of the game, and another is just some things that are off the field and personal. So I think those are just two, I guess, totally different scenarios, Albus and Oranges, I guess, to say.
Right.
I don't know if that's right or wrong. That's just kind of how I look at it.
I think that's a interesting perspective. And I think my thought borders on maybe what you were saying, not to and you can tell me, correct me if I'm wrong on this as well.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is just like it is apples and oranges in the sense of that you broke a league rule. Like in the league, it says that you cannot, like, this is one of their rules, right? The domestic violence is, those charges have to go through a legal process. They have to go through, court things, and they have this blanket statement that says you cannot do anything to, harm the reputation of the league or your organization and things like that. So it's so much subjectivity. I don't know, just, I make up words, but there's so much stuff that's subjective, in that when you're looking. And so when people are comparing like, oh, he got a year ban, but Ray Rice only got like 4 games or 6 games. Adrian Peterson only got 3. Greg Hardy only got 4. Well, his was 10 at first, but he got reduced to 4, whatever it was. But when you look at those, people are, attempting to compare those. And I agree with you. I think there's just a lot of layers, and it's going from like, if I give you the rule book, and that's like one of the rules in the book, versus a vague thing, you're going to get a vague actions to discipline the people. So that I agree with you, apples, oranges, but I look at it like, this is the hardcore, this is the testament, are you going against it or not?
Yeah. And then, policies develop too. I know those policies have developed as far as just kind of personal conduct in the NFL. And I think betting on sports has probably been, like, to your point, rule 1A or 1B probably since the start of the NFL, right? So, yeah.
All right, so what do you think is next for him, right? Because before this, you know, there was some outreach or some thoughts about him leaving leaving Atlanta.
Yep.
So where do we see him going? What do we think's next for him?
I don't know. You know, he's first of all, Calvin Ridley is top 10 receiver in the NFL. So
when he plays,
right. I think this is a name brand guy in the league. So, you know, this guy's came from Alabama. He was a part of that whole kind of wide receiver tree that's come out of Alabama since Julio to Amari Cooper to
the speed,
Florida. So he's a part of that tree,
right?
Of elite receivers, and he was even an All-Pro, I think, in 2020, second team All-Pro. So this is a real guy. So with real guys and with great skill come great opportunities. So I don't think this is the end of his NFL career. I just think he's going to be put on hold for a little bit. He's still young, 26 or 27. There was rumors before. I think he had kind of liked the tweet, and you can gain whatever you want from Twitter, but he liked the tweet basically saying, like, I wish Calvin Ridley would be in, with the Dolphins, and he, liked the tweet, whether that's accident or not, whatever the case is, whether he's sending a message or not. Right. You can read into it how you want to, but he was on kind of the thought of him being traded wasn't like foreign at a certain point. And so I know the Dolphins were looking at him. So I put it this, I think maybe his career with the Falcons are done. I mean, they seem to, I shouldn't say that. I'll say it this way. They've had this in the past with Michael Vick, just, at the height of his career, and then things happen and they kind of have to separate themselves from Michael Vick, and they lose kind of a star in their prime. And
something's going on in Atlanta. Maybe let's
you said it, I didn't. Or something.
Well, I mean, think about it though, man. Like, Julio, man, he was just like, no, I'm out of here. Like, I just got to go. And then it's the thing to where now you think about, like, Julio left, his prime years in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, he left a lot in Atlanta. He left.
Like
his speed, his hands, his health, his hamstrings. His hamstrings are still somewhere.
Probably out fishing in the remote place he like to go fishing at.
But like, one can't walk without his hamstrings. So yeah.
But I mean, Atlanta is like, word to the wise, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, like, they're holding on to Matty Ice too long. Like, should they have gotten rid of him or started the succession plan? Because, like, right now, where do they go after him? And, like, yeah, he's still a certain level of talent, right? Like, when you look at the people across the league, but, like, is this some of the reason that's pushing these top level players out?
I don't know. I don't know. It's been a rough little go for the Dirty Birds. So
Dirty Birds. It's been a while. They hopefully they can figure it out. Oh, did you hit it? You hit it on?
Yeah, I tried. Old Jamal Anderson. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like we always do, man, we just want to we wish the best for somebody, but it's just definitely pointing out, like, because I think there's some of the stuff that's not done when you listen to media and things like that from a cultural standpoint, that's not talked about, right? Like, you even mentioned Michael Vick, right? Like, you have a certain culture that, wants to put him under the ground for it, not saying it's wrong or right,
right.
You can get in all of that, but there is some cultural awareness that's a part of that. And I think that sometimes we miss that and maybe figure out how you help someone instead of like abandoning them. Like, is there, okay, you gave him this year, but is there something where he goes to, because he says he doesn't have a problem, but he does have mental health. So the mental health, when gambling can be an addiction, type sickness and things like that. So do you find some type of treatment or just some kind of evaluation just to get him back in the game? Because, like, the worst thing you can do for someone is take them out of the thing that progresses them in life, right? So him being out of football for a year obviously is not the best thing for him. You know, forget the money part of it. I mean, the money is a big part of it, right? That's how he provides for his family things. But I just think from a holistic thing.
Structure and everything that goes with that. And he's probably to your point, he's probably been on this path forever, for a long time. If he's a professional football player and is good enough to play in the league, he's probably been on the routine for a while. So to take him out of that routine while he's still very young, it could probably be kind of some self-destruction if he's not got it on the right path. I think you probably have to do some gambling addiction training anyway, just to kind of get back in the league, whether he has an issue or not. Just outside looking in, I would think that would probably have to be some type of treatment there. I guess to me, that is the toughest part of this entire situation.
Okay.
Is how it gets mixed up in mental health. It could be two totally different things. He might have some things that he's dealing with, but a guy like me who just looks at the blanket statement of mental health and not really understanding, can't fully grasp. I understand, but how much of this mental
and we
stress
see people misuse it as well.
Yeah, like how much of this is self-inflicted and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I think that's the bigger problem than the whole gambling thing. Is just like, okay, so some other athletes and other people that are really going through some things, now publicly they're looked at a different, maybe in a different way because of this incident. I don't know. That's the
blurred lines.
The blurred line that I just don't understand quite yet. You know what I mean? So, and maybe it's not for me to understand. I don't need to understand. Who am I? But it's just an interest in how those things kind of correlate or don't correlate. I don't know.
Well, he wasn't the first, and I highly doubt he'll be the last. And he's the one that got caught. Also we understand that, it's one of those things where they look to, I don't want to say look to make a president, but they're smacking the shit out of him hard, especially with, the NFL is making money off of all these betting things, so you got all these fantasy things now that Vegas is in the market, like all of these things. So they have to be mindful and make sure that thought even doesn't touch people's head about the purity, like you said, of the game.
All right. No, for sure. And I don't know, man, everything let this be learned to a lot of people that everything connects. Your phone connects you to every single thing. So like everything connects, man.
Yeah, so someone said that he didn't even use like a fake name or something to like.
The billing address was his. They're like, that's
that's definitely him.
It's on the billing address. I don't know, man. Come on, like everything connects, bro. I think he knows that. He's a 27-year-old guy. Come on, man.
Do better.
Thank you, EJ. That's the best way to put it. Come on, bro. You're better than that.
You are better than that, man. So anything else, man, that we missed on this, man, before we shut it down?
No. With him being up in the air, I guess I wonder how this works. With him being suspended, does that mean that he could still be traded? I don't know. Does that mean he could be cut with free agency coming up? I don't know. I don't know what that really means. Does anybody touch him? I mean, if it's Calvin Ridley and he's kind of up for grab, maybe you can get him on the cheap. He's 27. He's still like I said, a top 10 receiver. Like, does that make him more appealing to somebody else? I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions to be had with this incident and his career.
I mean, you see what the Rams did with their receiving core. So, I mean, people want to stack up that receiving core. This is a passing lead. He's talented to the fact where people still think AB has a shot to come. Someone's going to.
Oh, he still do got a shot, man.
Right. So there you go. He's up in
the pit to the palace, man.
With the Kanye mask on, this dude, and then but no, he's going to get another chance. Like talent overcomes a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
man,
pit to the palace. Yeah.
And then if Deshaun is still getting talks,
I don't want to talk that man. Nasty.
If he's still getting talks, I think Calvin's going to be all right, man.
Yeah, that's worse, man.
That's tough.
Yeah. Nasty,
moving on. So I will end it with that, man. But you good, though, Nate?
Yeah, I'm good, brother.
Yes, it is, man. Well, hey, we want to thank you, the people, always for listening, man. Hey, if you have any comments or what you think's next on the, or if you, how you feel about the situation, always love to hear your feedback, whether it's on social, under the comments, here in the post. But just remember, please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.